Can you all hear me loud and clear?
Yes.
Perfect. Right. Good evening and welcome all of you for our panel discussion today. Today is the third day of this Digital IT BPM week, and this is organized by Export Development Board together with SLASCOM, PITIS, and ICTA Agency of Sri Lanka. As you can see, we have an amazing panel of speakers for our panel discussion. Before introducing them, let me introduce myself. I'm Nevindaree Premarathne. Currently, I'm working at ICTA Agency of Sri Lanka as a project manager, mainly focusing in the area of startups and innovations, especially technology startups. So we run a couple of initiatives in-house for startups, technology startups. And at the same time, we are closely working with our startup ecosystem. We can discuss further about some of our initiatives during the panel discussion. As I told you earlier, we have an amazing panel of speakers, panelists today with us to discuss about role of startups in post-COVID-19 era. So we have Alagan Mahalingam, founder and CEO of Rootcode Labs and Serve, then founder and director of Loons Lab, Pulani, Ranasinghe. Ismail Sadurdeen, founder and CEO of UNIVISER.io. Then last not but least, Tamasha Fernando, project manager at ICTA Agency of Sri Lanka. So she's an entrepreneur, but mainly she's a person who works in so many entrepreneurship related programs when it comes to IT undergraduates in universities. So thank you very much for joining with us today. It's a great honor to have you on board. And this will be a great inspiration for our participants, because the majority of our participants are IT undergraduates. And you can clearly see, just like you, we have some young startup founders here today, our panel discussion. So if I set the background, set the stage for our panel discussion today, it's about the role of startups in a post-COVID-19 era. We know as a fact that there are, so many things have changed around us because due to this pandemic, every industry vertical has struggled a lot, and they have to come with some new solutions in order to survive. Work from home has become the new norm, and we see that so many businesses are shutting down, employee layoffs are happening, but at the same time, we see some startups and entrepreneurs are coming up with new, smart, innovative technology solutions in order to find out these gaps. And also with the issues that we see during this pandemic, they came up with new solutions. It's a fact that it's becoming an entrepreneur or a startup founder is a risky decision in your life, more than go and work as an employee under an employer. And becoming an entrepreneur at this situation, when the situation is so uncertain, that risk is in another level. But is it? So that's why we have invited some young and technology startup founders today who are running their businesses successfully even during this pandemic. So with that note, I would like to introduce our panel again. So we can start with Alagan. You can start how your journey has begun as an entrepreneur and who you are as a person. Over to you, Alagan.
Thanks, Nevindaree. Hello, everybody. I'm Alagan Mahalingam. To give a small kind of intro about what took me here was that I probably like some of the participants that we have right now, I was in college doing a software engineering degree, and I at some point got a bit crazy and started a company. So that's what happened when I was in my 4th year. What made me do that was I was figuring out the development part, and then I had an opportunity to build something which was kind of complex at the time. There was somebody who was willing to build a software with us. And like Nevindaree mentioned, yes, it's a very risky decision, right? At that point, I had done a couple of internships here and abroad, but then I was never this entrepreneur material, right? Then, but I somehow convinced myself into starting a company, and I have never regretted ever since. The first few years were very tough for me. We built products that nobody was using. We learned it in the hard way what the market wants. But where we ended up surviving was we started adapting for things. We started adapting into the new challenges. And my first product, Singify, got kind of popular. And we even won the NVQSA many years back, and it was later acquired by a UK-based company. So that kind of set a start for me. Then that's when I founded Rootcode Labs, which would go on to help businesses worldwide to create software better, mobile apps to cloud solutions and everything better. So that's how my journey started, and we have been building many products at the same time. And we also currently have we work with some of the biggest customers from the US, Europe, and the Middle East. We also last year we opened an office in the Europe. That has always been a dream for me, and somehow managed to get to a point where we can do that. Yeah, so things have been going amazingly well for us, luckily, and yeah. So that's kind of the introduction about what we do. Nevindaree, thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much for the introduction, Alagan. So seems like Pulani is having a small technical difficulty. So I would like to know more about Ismail. So you have told me once that you never had you never had an idea about becoming an entrepreneur. So over to you, Ismail. It's your time to explain.
Thank you, Nev. Firstly, thanks everyone for tuning in. So my name is Ismail, and I run a startup called UNIVISER. We are a tech company that specializes in the education space, or how we call it, EdTech. So our product is, we have built a platform, a peer-to-peer platform that allows prospective students and parents to talk to a current university student before they apply to university. And how my entrepreneurship journey or my startup journey took place was it was not like I woke up one day and I had an idea. When I look back, it's multiple reasons that resulted in it. For example, when I was applying for university, it was quite a difficult process. It was a lot of anxiety and a lot of stress. And when I got to university, I realized it was not only me who had a lot of issues, but a lot of students faced this problem. And then as every new semester came, I had a lot of friends and family messaging me, asking for advice and help on like moving into university. And then my last year of university, I ran for student union president at Nottingham, and I got elected. So I was the first international president at Nottingham University. And one of the first things I did was I set up a buddy program where I paired incoming international students with students from with student volunteers. And even today, the program has become very successful. And if you're applying to Nottingham today, you would be part of that program. And once I finished my time at uni, my first job right after university was for a tech company. And I never even applied over there, but a really good friend of mine suggested that I should go for an interview here because it's like a really good company. And when I went there, that was when I realized for the first time in my life that even a non-tech person is wanted in a tech company, because 50% is the engineering side and the other 50% is a business, from the business aspect, cash flow management, customer acquisition, customer success. And that was like one of the moments I realized, hey, I don't need to be a developer to build software. But even at that point, I never got an idea for the startup. And when I was in the tech industry, that's when I realized, look, this is a really fast growing industry and I would like to be in this doing something, because there's a lot of exponential growth taking place. And once when I was reflecting from my time at university, I realized that one of the problems we faced at Nottingham was scaling the buddy program, what I started over there. And that's when I got the idea for one way we could solve it is by using technology. So what I did was I took my experience from Nottingham, the program what we did, and we digitized it. So we have built mobile apps for the buddies. We are using AI to track all the data, and it was not a problem which only Nottingham faced, but all students all around the world and universities around the place had this issue. So I would say it's a accumulation of multiple small events which happened at random. So when I look back, I was like, yeah, it makes sense. But at that time, I was just doing it because I really enjoy doing it. I never thought I would want to start my own company, especially a tech company. Coming from a business background, entrepreneurship and business was kind of instilled in our family from a very young age. So that too helped. But I would have never thought studying economics that I could do a tech product. So that's how like my entrepreneurial journey started and how I got the idea for the product and multiple reasons.
Okay. Thank you very much for sharing your journey with us, Ismail. So Pulani, you are a female startup founder. We would like to know how your journey has begun as an entrepreneur.
Yeah. Hi all, and pleasure to talk to you. Let's say like who are we and we are into both products and services. Hence our products from the services. So so that is the basis of our company. So if I reverse back few years, how we started it. So basically, as most of the undergraduates, like I went to a local University of California. And there I got to do a lot of stuff. I attended so much of hackathons and I was a very active undergraduate by then. So at that time I was thinking, I had a habit of like doing everything a little bit with the flavor, a little bit different. Even by being the black sheep, somehow I managed to do things differently. So, so because of that, what I thought was like, how should I choose my career? So if I want to pursue this or like pursue my dream. So then what I thought was like, it's better to be an entrepreneur because then I get to face a lot of challenges and like I was thinking that I would be that kind of material with the background or with everything I did. So, so then what I did was, as every university students, as soon as my university degree is over, I just went to a job, like to pursue a job. And, but then afterwards I realized, like while I was doing this job, and firstly I had a lot to learn, and after a little time I just got so bored, and I didn't felt that I'm utilizing my full self to do the job. So it was kind of I had to adhere for something. So then I thought, so my dream of my entrepreneur, I was thinking of I should become an entrepreneur when I'm around 30 years old. 35 years old when I have like a lot of experiences. But I wait until I'm 35. So if I'm not enjoying my life today, why should I wait? So I was thinking like there's a famous saying saying if you want to fail, fail fast. So that was what I was thinking. So I just quit my job and I went into, I wanted to start a company. So actually at that time, I think my parents and everyone around me was thinking I'm crazy and I'm not, because I didn't have a proper plan or proper anything at that time. So after giving my resignation only, I was looking for partners. I was looking for the products. I was looking for different things to get structured along the line. So at that time, I started with two of my best friends in the university. So they moved on part-time basis and I was on full-time basis. So that's how we started our company. And after months and months of work, so then we came to a point of realizing that doing a startup is not a part-time thing, because I was committing full-time and the other was part-time, and their focuses went a little different. So then we discussed, I actually wanted to get things streamlined along the line, but what really happened was they decided that they're going to quit because the pressure is too much for them to handle, and they thought since we were not making much of the profits at that time, so what they thought was it's better to pursue their career. So I think that was kind of the turning point of my career, because at that time I was not in a position to look back, because there was like a lot of challenges, or a lot of people said that I can't do it. So I was not in a position to turn back. So somehow I decided to move alone, and along the line, I recruited an employee and we grew little by little. One thing I did was I went to meet a lot of people and talk to them, and just got their experiences and their thoughts. And that's how like we eventually grew up to what we are today. And something significant happened. It's two of my good friends who were doing the health product into health tech. They joined with our startup along the line, and that is a significant, like colorful point in our startup as well. And today we are doing product into health tech and into occupational health and safety, and we are doing some mini projects into fleet management and hotel booking systems, stuff like that. And also we are mainly into providing services. We are serving around 10 government clients at this moment, and also around 50 private sector clients, and also a couple of other clients from other countries, which like in African region and in US, UK. So this is what we are right now and how we came along that journey.
Nev, I think you're muted.
Yeah, sorry. Thank you very much, Ismail. So thank you very much for sharing your story with us, Pulani. So just like you have mentioned earlier, when you have no option to go back, sometimes you motivate a lot. You get motivated a lot to continue what you do with the risk that you have in your head. So with that, we would like to know about Tamasha's initiatives that she's been conducting all this year at ICTA for entrepreneurs and the people who really like to get into this entrepreneurship. So over to you, Tamasha.
So I'm Tamasha Fernando. If the crowd is more on undergraduates, most of you might have seen me because I was traveling like almost all the universities across the island. So, so what we do basically in ICTA is, if I talk about our unit, actually we are more focused on startup and entrepreneurship and developing private sector IT companies. So we have different sectors we are focusing on, starting from entrepreneurs coming in, like budding entrepreneurs, and to SMEs, to private sector, other companies ranging to mature level companies. So if I speak on the startup map we do. And what we do for startup is we help the community and the undergraduates mainly from the ideation stage, even to cultivate or the instill this entrepreneurship mindset inside the universities and inside the higher education institutes. We do a lot. So if you have heard about Imagine If program we do, that is entirely on instilling entrepreneurship among undergraduates in universities, specifically not specifically IT, but it's general. But we are focusing more on tech, but we do it in general because we understood. When we first do this program, we understood that the enthusiasm these university undergraduates have is much more. So we thought of removing that barrier of limiting ourselves to tech entrepreneurship, and we expanded that to general entrepreneurship. But it's more on technology and how to use IT in enhancing your business. So how you can get, like, without coming up with an idea which is in the red ocean. We call it red ocean and blue ocean. So red ocean is like an idea which has a lot of competition, and how you can change that to a blue ocean strategy or a blue ocean idea with the technology. So that is the area we've been in the university system, and we have done a lot in that. Plus, then moving to the other stage of entrepreneur's career, then we move on to spiralation. Nevindaree handles it actually. So spiralation is like if you come up with an better idea which is globally scalable, then you can go for spiralation, which we provide a seed grant and class training also, not just technology, but it covers almost all the aspects which an entrepreneur should know in lifting up their businesses. So then we are moving on to mature level. If they come to SMEs, we have another set of programs on how you can use marketing, how you can use HR, how you can increase your, how you can leverage your human resources properly. So we have another set of programs for that, and also for the mature companies mature companies which is more than 10 years of existence. So that's what we do basically in startup ecosystem plus mature companies. So if you have an idea, so what I can say is, if you have an idea, there are a lot of platforms. They are not just Imagine If. We have a lot of other platforms. We have Venture Frontier. We have Startup Weekends. We have a lot where you can pitch in and get the help from the mentors and the veterans who are in the industry who will like to help you. So that is basically what I have to say as an intro. So we'll see if you have any questions. We can answer on that in the Q&A session. Nevindaree?
Thank you very much, Tamasha. So just like Tamasha said, Spiralation is one of our programs in ICTA. So basically we call it as a tech startup support program. So far, we have supported over 70 startups with this program. Apart from the seed fund, we provide them training through our workshops, and even we provide them market access opportunities. And we have an annual event called Disrupt Asia. We call it as Sri Lanka's premier startup conference and innovation festival. So with that, we help our startups to go global. So that is the objective of that event. And also, as you can see, now we have a new platform for startup called startupsl.lk. So if you have a startup, even if you are in the pre-seed stage yet, you can register there as a startup, and you will be getting, basically you will get so much of benefits once you get approved through that platform. So with that note, I kind of want to ask a question from you, Alagan. So you said that you have failed a couple of times at the initial stage, and still it's a very iterative process. So yeah, we fail all the time, and with that learning, we accelerate our business more. So that's how it happens. So what do you think about the experience of a startup founder? So we know that there are certain startups in our startup ecosystem who actually, those startup founders are experienced people. they have been working with in this industry for some time, and they know what to do. And at the same time, we have a couple of startups here who they just started their business right after their graduation. So what do you think about the experience of a startup founder in order to becoming successful?
Thanks, Ned. That's a very interesting question. Um, I think it's more of a chicken egg situation, because to run a successful startup, you need to have some form of experience in whatever the industry that you are getting into, as well as running a business, right? But getting the domain knowledge of maybe building a software or doing some operations can be learned by your experience, by working for somebody. But the second part, which is the most important, which is running a business on your own, and the nitty-gritties that come along with it. The funny part is that can be learned only when you do it. Even when I started, I used to think that I figured everything out. But the beauty of entrepreneurship is it hits you very hard, because you are suddenly thrown into the deep end. And like Pulani mentioned, you willfully sign up for it. You jumped into that, right? But the exposure that comes in handling problems and the iterative process that you build in making yourself better, at the same time making your decision-making skills better, I don't think you can learn it anywhere outside. So about the failures, it was extremely hurtful at the time, right? I mean, for me, it was super hurtful, because when I started the business, I did not have any money. So I took a couple of loans and I just started on my own. We literally rented a small house behind the MICH, and we just put a couple of tables there and called it an office. That's it. So there was a time where even for me to just finish work by like 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, to go out, there won't be any transport. And I was not even in a position to spend money on a taxi or a tuk-tuk. Then I would choose to sleep in office. So when you are like that emotional about what you are building and you fail, that sucks, right? I mean, but then those failures, in my experience, those failures are the ones that taught me what's the right thing to do and what's the wrong thing to do. And if not for those failures, I absolutely don't think I will be nowhere close to what we are now. Because we have failed many times, and we have also succeeded a few times. But it's not the successes that defines what we are now, to be honest. It's actually those tough times and the failures, like getting hit in your face, that kind of defines us. So if anybody, like if any young people out there who want to just start, my recommendation is start early as possible, because when you are young, you have a massive advantage where you have very less to lose. When I started, my option was, all right, so what if I lose? If I lose, I'll go back to the boarding that I was in college, and then live. Like I'll cook myself, eat myself, and then do my own stuff that I do. So there's nothing more to fail, right? But the moment you keep collecting your life debt, where you go through years and you build a structure of life, it becomes harder and harder. So there are two categories of people, right? If you are young, start extremely early. But if you don't have that advantage and still you have that craving to start a business, save money, create a backup for at least 6 months or 12 months, so that even if you fail, worst case, you can run everything and start before you are not ready, because you will never be ready. The day you are, even I don't feel I'm ready right now. You will never feel ready. So start it.
Thank you very much for your thoughts, Alagan. Actually, that's really inspiring. Pulani, even when I gave that introduction about you, I told that you are one of our female entrepreneurs in Sri Lanka. The reason why I have highlighted that fact is, even in the global startup ecosystem, when it comes to technology startup founders, we have few female startup founders in startup ecosystem. So we have discussed we have discussed so many times about, the barriers that we have as female when it comes to entrepreneurship. But I'm not going to ask that question because we know we have certain barriers. The question that I'm going to ask you is, what are the opportunities that you got because of the fact that you are a female entrepreneur and because of you're a female?
Yeah, okay. So I usually don't like this question starting from although you are a female or because you're a female. I really don't like that, but I think your question, that's a like same opinion that I share with, because I really like it because I feel the same way. Like being a female, like there are certain things, but when it comes to being an entrepreneur, I think even though you're a male or a female, the challenges you face are immense. So despite of gender, I think
Pulani, I think your line is breaking up.
being an entrepreneur itself, that is the biggest challenge that you have to face. So when I talk about being a female, so far I have taken as a, there are not many female entrepreneurs, so there are a lot of programs or hello. Yeah, hi.
Yes, Pulani, we can hear you now. I think she got disconnected. So till she gets back, I'll ask a question from Ismail. So you told us that you didn't have a technical background, even though you are running a technology startup right now. So what sort of a support that you got in order to get that knowledge, and what are the measurements and what are the steps that you have taken in order to run your business like this, especially when you have a technology startup, right?
Actually, it's a really good question. I think I lost about 6 to 8 months of wanting to start a company because a lot of people told me, Ismail, how can you run a tech company because you're not from a technical background? So I lost about 8 months. But one of the things you should understand is you need to first accept the fact that you do have no idea about the engineering or the technical capabilities of getting your product, and you need to start seeking out external knowledge from mentors, from reading books, online courses, and speaking to successful entrepreneurs, reading their stories. For example, if you consider even Steve Jobs, he can't write a single line of code, but he was able to find Steve Wozniak to help him in the process. So all these are like really inspirational stories of multiple founders without able to write a single line of code. So I was able to get a lot of founders, and I think one of the things that also helped, which you also mentioned, is joining an accelerator. So you had mentioned about spiralation. So for being part of an accelerator really helped us with our technical debt. Because it's like you meet other entrepreneurs, especially who are from a very technical background, and while discussing, you have like a really good community where you can reach out, ask for help, ask for support. Hey, I'm finding this security issue, how do I deal with it? So you have to seek out knowledge, and I think in a way it also helped in our favor by not having too much technical knowledge, because I was able to focus a lot on the business aspect. Because a lot of startup founders, especially from a technical background, is they focus a lot on building the perfect product. And the thing in technology is technology does not have a finish line, or success in technology products does not have a finish line. When the new iPhone launched in 2007, it did not have a copy paste feature. So, but now in 2020, the phone has really evolved. So same thing with any tech product. There's never, once you put out your first version, over time, the market would help you develop it further. So you learn from the market what sort of features and what sort of things they need, and you start going with it. But I think the main thing is, you know, getting help from people, and you should be not shy, and you should just say, hey, I really don't know, I have no idea how to do this. I studied economics, can you please explain it to me? And you just tell that to people, and actually people respond a lot to humility. And you don't know, like even as Alagan said, like there are a lot of things which I don't know today. uh, like people think, oh, okay, Ismail, you know how to get a product from idea to to a customer right now, but it's something you learn every day. I sometimes I've screwed a lot with like one customer, and then I realized, okay, this is something I should not do for my next customer, and I learned. And then I thought I've perfected it, but then when I go to my third customer, I realize, oh, actually I made some mistakes. So I think over time you learn by doing. And whatever books I read, or it's a good knowledge, but once you get your hands dirty, you think. So I thought, instead of learning how to code, let me understand the basics so I could have a productive discussion with my developers. And one thing I learned was product management and design thinking. So these were really two good concepts which helped me help work with my developers. Because building a software product is like building a house. You can't do it by yourself. You may have a vision that you want a house with a swimming pool, but when you start speaking to architects, they say what is possible, what is not possible. You need structural engineers, you need interior architects, you need someone else to do the foundation for you. So it's not like one developer will be giving you the full solution. You need multiple brains, multiple people giving ideas, and you should not be scared to talk about your ideas, because the more people you talk about your idea, they are giving more feedback to you, and they're giving you a little bit guidance on how to make it better. So you should find those people who have the best interest in you and be very open about it. And especially a lot of young people are scared that someone would steal my idea. To be honest, like even if you look at Amazon example, he's the richest guy in the world, but it's not a novel idea. Like, we have been buying things from the first time a marketplace ever started. What Jeff Bezos did was just digitized it and put some technology in it to make it much better. So same thing. So you should not try to reinvent the wheel. You use technology as an enabler for a growth, and always talk to people with domain knowledge and with experience, and people who have screwed before you. So let's say someone took 10 years and they have messed up a lot. You could just speak to them and you could learn it in half an hour. So you save 10 years of experience of me going through the mill. So it's about learning from these people and not making the same mistakes what they did, and reduce your chance of failure.
Thank you very much, Ismail. It is very insightful. And one thing that you have mentioned was, yes, some people are really afraid to share their ideas. So that is something that we always, hearing from some university students. So Tamasha can, tell about that more, because when we go and do some programs, sessions with university students, this is something they always say. So I have a great project idea, but I'm not so sure whether I should, talk about it in public. If someone steals it, then I cannot continue that project. So that is something that they always came up with. And we are getting some questions also. So one question that we got was, I would like to launch a startup. So how can I plan? So the next question that I'm going to ask you, Tamasha, we get all, these kind of questions all the time. They have good project ideas. And the next question that they ask is, but I don't have money to start. I don't have any money to invest on this project idea. So what do you think? So what are the main steps and what are the things that they should think before they start a business? Having a project idea is enough, or what are the other steps that they should consider about?
Yeah. First of all, I would like to say, like, this is the most common question coming to us, especially from the undergraduates. So they are coming up with an idea. So if we ask idea, so like business is always solving a problem, right? So you are giving the solution to a problem. So you are coming up with an idea without knowing what the exact problem you are going to solve out. So if we ask that question from the students, they don't know, because that is just the idea they came up with. So if you, sometimes we take them to work backwards and see whether the problem they are going to solve exists in real. Sometimes when they go do their math and come back, then the solution they're coming up with has changed based on the real problem exists. So that's the first one. And then what is the exact thing you do in difference, and what is the difference in your business from the others who are going to solve a similar kind of problem? That is what we call the unique value proposition. So what makes your business difference, and what makes your business, what makes the customers to come to you above the others? So that is one of the things that you need to consider. So, and also the price. So sometimes they come up with an idea without knowing that, without thinking that whether this is a product which is marketable, product or a service which is marketable. So you need to identify that as well. So you have to do that research, market research on whether the problem, the solution you're bringing up is marketable. So those are the three you need to solve before you go and seek for funding. So when it comes to funding, there's no worry. If your idea is unique and that is globally scalable, there are plenty of partners in the ecosystem whom you can fund, whom you can get the funding from. Anything else?
Okay, thank you very much, Tamasha. So with some of the programs that we do, especially the Imagine It program also, Tamasha has explained all these main special areas that they should focus on when they are starting a business. And another thing is design thinking. Just like Ismail said, one of the main areas that we are highlighting is design thinking concepts. So with this conversation, I would like to discuss further about this COVID-19 situation, because the topic is what is our role as startups during this post-COVID-19 era. So Alagan, what if I ask the opportunities that you got during this COVID-19 pandemic? So we saw that, so many businesses got a huge hit because of this pandemic. But at the same time, I saw that your business, about your startup, getting so many highlights in our media as well. So what are the opportunities that you got?
Thanks, Nev. That's a very interesting point. So when COVID-19 hit the world, I was actually traveling at the time when it was getting bigger. It was a big shock to the whole ecosystem, not just the Sri Lankan business ecosystem, not even the global, it's just everybody got hit, right? Including us, to be honest, because we work with some of the multi-million-dollar companies in the US who are into retail, who are into banking, different things, and everybody came to a standstill. Overnight, for weeks, I was up discussing with the customers as to how we can facilitate them to get through this. Because in a situation where the world comes to a standstill, and you have to worry about your cash flow, and then making sure you pay your employees as much as you can, and keep your business from dying, because this is not like a 3-month issue or 6-month issue. Unfortunately, the economic recovery is usually 1:3 or above. For every month of a blockade in business, it takes 3+ months to recover. The same thing with the Spanish flu and the Great Depression, the same thing with the 2008 financial crisis. So everybody was stuck. And when you have such an issue, the money, the energy you would spend on innovation would naturally reduce. That's what happened with us as well. Our customers came back for concessions, there were delays in stuff, a lot of things. It used to stress me so much. And but then at the same time, what was playing in part of my brain is that if you look at some of the multi-billion-dollar companies, like let's say Uber to Airbnb to Square, everybody was founded in the middle of a crisis. So for example, what does Uber, Airbnb, Square to even Slack, what do they have in common? They all were founded between 2008 and 2009, when the whole ecosystem was crashing because of a terrible financial crisis. So I had myself believing in that, all right, so we will figure this out somehow, right? And I'm radically transparent with my team. So team knows everything. So that brought us to a point that we keep brainstorming about how do we build, how do we innovate in the middle of this crisis, so that while making the world a better place, we can also survive and grow as a business. That's when one idea hit us very hard. We were speaking to a lot of our friends who are into the fitness industry, to consultants, to psychologists, and everybody. And then that was the time they were getting to know about Zoom and Skype and everything, because they suddenly cannot do business with people. And they have to send a link and ask people to come online. All right, so how do you get payments? So then they have to send a link, all right, deposit my money into the bank, and then they need to verify manually, come back, ask for subscription later, renewal. It is not a scalable approach. So when we heard that, naturally we came up with this idea, why don't we streamline that process? Starting from identifying a consultant or an expert or a professional, to seeing their price, paying through the credit card, and having a video call. Like Ismail mentioned, this is not a radical technology. This is a simple solution. It's an amazingly simple solution, and nobody has done it right. So me and my team thought it's a crazy idea, and we started sketching it. So we had like a lot of papers drawn here and there, how that has to be. And then all of a sudden, we got an invitation to participate in the Global Hack. So that's arguably one of the biggest hackathons in the world. We had about 12,000 plus people participating from worldwide. So we thought, all right, so now we have an idea, but there's a high chance we might be mistaken, because there is an idea bias for entrepreneurs. We need to face that. We always think our idea is great, right? We always think we are the kings and queens of the idea. So we decided, why don't we give it to the market? Why don't we participate, show everybody, get feedback, so that we can validate that we are not going too crazy. And we participated over 48 hours. We had to build a prototype, a super tough competition. It was partially organized by the European Commission and crazy big scale. And we worked hard. We didn't sleep a single minute. We named it Serve. So literally within hours, we came up with the name. We registered the domain and created a logo and started building it. And things started to unfold in a beautiful way. People started to like the idea. Mentors who are really big started to come to us and talk. And the respect we got kind of showed us, probably we are building something good. And we ended up winning the hackathon. We came first in the work track. And that set us on track, knowing, all right, so we are building something that could potentially be valuable. Now we won the hackathon, we won the money. Now we are not going to stop, right? So we spent the next 4 weeks, day and night, the whole team, building the software from scratch. VoIP, there's a video. A video has to be as good as what you see right now, right? From that to international payments, like multiple currencies to payments. We need to be able to transfer the payments anywhere in the world, right? Take payments from anywhere. All of them, we built it and we released it, and then people are apparently loving it. So it's kind of a beautiful feeling when we see people actually go in, download the app and book experts. And then when experts come and tell us, hey, Alagan, Until you guys came up with the idea, I was really stuck thinking, how do I make this process easy? And they find it very easy for customers to catch them and have a video call. And that feeling is amazing. So in summary, when there is a crisis, there is always an opportunity, right? But it's very tough to see the opportunity when you are inside a crisis. It's extremely tough to see because you're fighting for survival in the middle of the crisis, right? But as entrepreneurs, we need to learn to compartmentalize our fears with opportunities separately. And we should not let our fears affect our ability to find and execute opportunities. We are still very young, service still very young, couple of thousand users, and looking forward to see. I mean, I hope we can tell a story in the future saying, you know, there was another Sri Lankan company that was founded in the middle of the pandemic. So that's the goal. Let's see.
Yeah, so we also wish you the best of luck for your new product. And it's a great example, you know, the streamlining this process with the technology is a great example for technology diffusion and digital transformation. And at one point, so Pulani, how this it serves you when it comes to your business? So now you are mainly working in a health sector as well. So how this digital transformation happened? Because most of the people are not that familiar. They were not familiar with these kind of digital solutions and technologies before this pandemic comes into play. So how did that change your businesses?
Yeah, I think we were doing a health information management system that runs in government hospitals. So that is one part. And when talking about that, people were not very enthusiastic about it. It's not the people who implement it, but when it comes to people who really use it, they were not very enthusiastic. But when it comes to this pandemic, people were actually forced to use it because they didn't had any choice. So suddenly, like if you take the prescriptions or if you take the number of transactions per day, it suddenly increased, and they wanted more and more to expand it to the other hospitals. Also, they are coming up with new ways that had to be incorporated. And also, I think during the pandemic, we got a chance to, through our company, through the developers, we developed like a lot of things. For instance, like if the drug delivering process, and online prescriptions and all these things, even for government hospitals. So they were slowly implementing those functionalities. And also we were able to do a simple program that would expedite the process of PCR tests of from 6 hours of kind of thing. So these are like very simple things that we haven't seen before the pandemic. So people were ready to use it and people were embracing it because they really need it and they had no choice except using it online or using like whatever the thing that is available that they can do using their computers and screens. So that is one part of it. And also, since we do web development and stuff, we got a lot of inquiries for online stores and online shops and something like online marketplaces. So I think there are a lot of people who are looking into the gaps of the market and who are trying to fill it. And at the same time, something that we found is I had a habit of like playing simple games when the friends get together, and I just get together with friends like even in weekends and very frequently. So something we found missing in the market is seemed like a platform to play simple games. So at the moment we are implementing it, like you mean like not the huge games that we're talking about, but the party games or the card games that we play each day with our friends sitting. So that is one concept that we are working on right now. So I think with this pandemic, people were kind of forced to use this technology and to adhere to this technological product. If you say, even people who never thought would be, even my father, mother, they are now ordering online. They are now in Facebook. They are now on WhatsApp. So it's like it's a pandemic. It's true, but it's like I don't know, like expediting the process of onboarding people into this technology. So I think maybe after the pandemic or maybe after some time, so this process of getting people onto these devices, onto using apps and websites, so it will be definitely in coming years, I think will be good for upcoming entrepreneurs or upcoming industries. So I think that's my personal view on pandemic and how we as a company faced it.
Thank you very much, Pulani. So we are getting a couple of questions from our participants. I would like to shoot a question to Ismail. So we have a question like how to register a startup and when. I have an idea for a startup next when I'm an undergraduate.
I think that's a really good question. And one thing what I realized early again from my mentors was to register your company ASAP. The reason why they told me is because in according to taxation, as a startup, you would be making losses for the first couple of years. I mean, if you could make a profit immediately, it's amazing. But when you start making a profit, one of the first people that would come to your door is the income tax office. So if you have been maintaining proper track records of all the invoices, receipts, all the salaries and all the expenses, even if you buy AWS storage, when you start making a profit for the fall, you could backdate for the next 3 years to offset your profits. Because once you start making money, you need money to reinvest. You can't enjoy it yet, but before you want to reinvest, if the tax department comes to take it, you'll be very upset. So from day one, even if you have a meeting with your developers in Coffee Bean, you save that receipt, even if it's 1,000 rupees. You can put it as company expenses. So I think bookkeeping from day one is very essential. And there are a lot of free tools you can use online to maintain your books. So, so even if you're in school right now, set up your company and just start maintaining all records. So in the future, when you're growing, you can just take it to a tax consultant who will help you out with that process.
Okay, thank you very much, Ismail. Tamasha, we have another question asking, are there any platform to find a mentor, or how do I find a good mentor in the leading society? Since you are closely working with Techstars and other initiatives, so this question is to you.
So the startup ecosystem in Sri Lanka is very, very small. So we don't have we're not a big country, neither the ecosystem. So if you are in the system, you might get to know almost everyone in the ecosystem. And the beauty of this people around this ecosystem is like they're so generous. They will do whatever thing they can do to lift your business up. So almost everyone, and even the experienced one, even the mature startups in the ecosystem are much more willing to help you. It's just a matter of you to a mentor via connecting to a startup sessions. Like it can be Imagine If, it can be Venture Frontier Startup Caravan, Entrepreneurship Caravan coming into universities, or the startup weekends. That is from the Techstars, which is a global community. So Startup Weekend is now coming into universities as well, and also they have like a lot of regional sessions going on as well. So there can be Startup Weekend, and that again maybe a few initiatives hosted by ULI. There's a lot. So if you could keep track on all these entities, you will be able to find a mentor who can put you up. So in finding a mentor, you need to understand what sort of a mentor you need. Is it a domain, is he or she a domain expert, or one who can guide you in lifting your business up? So that is the thing, that is one of the decisions you have to make before you finding a mentor. So if you could not get into, I think Nevindaree has posted almost all the links in the chat. You can just go and click, and go to the Facebook pages and get connected. Because imagine if we share almost all the startup events we do around the country, not just imagine if, around the country, in imagine if, so you can keep track on that as well. And also you can connect to any other platforms or the Facebook pages available. I think I mentioned few names, so if you could just Google and see the Facebook pages and getting in touch with them, you'll be able to find or participate the sessions they have, and probably you'll be able to find good mentor.
Okay, thank you very much, Tamasha. I think now the time is 7:30, so we have to conclude our session right now because our panelists have some other commitments as well. I think it has been an absolutely amazing evening with all of you, with your valuable insights, and more than that, it was really inspiring. I know that our audience is that they have been, so attentive and active. We are getting so many questions from them. I'm so sorry if we couldn't answer all your questions, but we tried our best to answer all your questions with the discussions point that we had during our panel discussion. They were so excited about this panel discussion until the end. Even right now, we are getting a couple of questions. So if you really want to get further information about some of our initiatives, and if you really want to contact our panelists, so you can contact us directly. So I have shared some of the URLs here in our chat, in Zoom chat. I hope our organizers can share those links in Facebook as well. And through our organizers, you can directly contact our panelists whenever you want, whenever you need a support. And I really want to thank you, Alagan, Ismail, Pulani, and Tamasha for your valuable insights, and also for being here today, giving us some time from your busy schedule. And it has been a great pleasure to have you on board, and it has been amazing to have this wonderful audience as well today with us. So this will be the end of our panel discussion. Thank you very much all, and stay safe and have a good night.
Thanks,
Thank you
Nev.
very much.
Thank you. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Have a
Bye.
great day.
Have a good night.